Hello and welcome to the Rest of the Max Smackdown Live review. And we are reviewing the final WWE main roster show before Summerslam happens this Sunday. And of course, I am your host here, Sean Garman, with me, the man that always holds it down, Mr. Paul Leeser.
Yeah, right here. This guy, not paying attention.
And joining us, man, glad to first time we have the whole crew together. This is probably gonna be Gary's normal spot, the one right before the pay-per-view. What's going on, Gary?
I'm here, and I'm ready to talk about this SmackDown. It's kind of maybe better things than we had to talk about on the other review show we did this week.
Oh boy, it's we didn't just do 4 podcasts yesterday, so
yeah, they could throw a little bit of a loop in that because we did do so many. But yeah, I'm talking primarily wrestling.
yes.
So
You know, it hadn't been that long since we've all seen each other, but yeah, so we should get started with this SmackDown, and they get, the normal thing for WWE shows. The cool thing with SmackDown is that they sort of start out with that little backstage kind of we're live on the backstage area thing. This time it's with Randy Orton signing a contract because Brock Lesnar is not going to show up on 2 SmackDowns in a row, and then Heath Slater appears with a free agent shirt and a fruit basket. Man, Heath Slater just killing it every time. Basically, he's like, man, I watched the show, guys, and I saw you were gonna give me a contract, so let's see what I can do to get a contract now. And basically, it's Orton and Heath Slater for later tonight, and we also have. And we'll just get into this little match here with Heath Slater, and I thought it was, it's a setup so that basically Orton can have a sort of a squash match. And then of course Slater has to go put his foot in his mouth again, which is his thing. I think you got it all in a nutshell here,
guys. This has just been a really fun segment week to week on both shows, and Slater on SmackDown I think is the one I prefer over Raw, just because on Raw he sort of shows up, he does his thing and leaves, and here they sort of get to dig into it some more. And him just being a no man's land after getting his tail handed to him by Randy was great. Like, he's getting Brian thinking he's Foley, he thinks Shane is Stephanie, and it's good, clean fun is what that is. And not to mention Randy pretty much killed him, so that's brutal.
Yeah, and you know what? And saying that, Randy Orton looked great. He really did. He looks as smooth as ever. It doesn't look like he has any ring rust at all. Which I'm sure he's been in the ring quite a bit, getting ready for this big match. But just watching him in this, first match back, in a little while, or actually it's the second, right? I think he had another match, but anyway, right before the pay-per-view, he looks really good. That's the bottom line here. That's the most important situation for him. So I think that was great. Heath Slater kills it. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. Heath Slater is one of my favorite parts of these shows, and it's a silly, comical gimmick he's doing, but it's important in a way because he's something that entertains us. He's something that really gets us glued into. Man, I can't wait to see what Heath Slater's doing now. What kind of, shenanigans are going to happen. And I love the fruit basket thing and all of that. That was kind of fun. And I love the fact that, at first I was sitting there waiting after he threw Randy Orton that apple and Randy Orton's idea and he took the bite. I thought there's 2 things going to happen here. He's going to talk with his mouth full and maybe spit like Carlito. Or, maybe, we're going to have a situation where we have to wait 15 minutes before he's done chewing. And luckily they cut to, start the show. So I'm glad the other part happened, not waiting 15 minutes.
Lord, that would have sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole segment is Randy Orton chewing.
Hey, Raw could have done it. That probably would have been better than what we got yesterday. So.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Fair point.
Burn to Raw. Hey, these things work, and right off the bat, you establish Randy Orton looking strong, and you get to sort of continue a storyline you've been doing on both shows. So, props already to SmackDown from the opposite of what we got on Raw the previous night. And we also kind of started off the first real segment of the show that was actually in the ring was Miz TV, as promised, I think, on Raw previously with Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. Other than some shenanigans with Miz there at the beginning, it was all focused into Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. And once again, these guys have been really good on the microphone, sort of selling that whole thing about Ziggler hasn't been good for, he's been good, but he's been caring about other things, but winning. And what if he doesn't win? What if he does win? And nothing changes for him. I thought, again, they delivered here.
This has been such a very smartly booked feud because Dean, despite being the champion, isn't the focus here. The guys over there at SmackDown actually caught on to what we've been saying the entire time. They got to build up these other guys, so they're looking at Dolph. Dolph has been the star in every single one of these segments that they've been doing. The story's been on Dolph to prove himself, to go out here and do all this, everything he can. And this promo he gives you is just dying, especially whenever he sends it home with a super kick. It's absolutely incredible. And I think this might be their best promo work so far in this feud.
I totally agree with you on that. At first I was a little concerned with this feud. I really was, because both are faces. Dolph Ziggler's got his sect of people that love him to death no matter how many times he takes a pinfall. Dean Ambrose, of course, has a big fan base, and so I was kind of concerned, how are they really going to draw any heat? I really have enjoyed it because Dean Ambrose has kind of went back a little bit to what he was as a heel, a little bit, not all the way, but that gray area is definitely showing his intimidation, the mind games he's playing with Dolph Ziggler. It's all showing up here, and I think this is his best work tonight, like you're saying here, Paul. I think just he really sent it home at really good. And even Ziggler, I feel like Ziggler was really into this. It wasn't haphazard. He really got into it as well. Heck, he was getting red in the face.
Mm-hmm.
It showed how much emotion he had, and I love that. I thought it was an awesome thing. And that surprise super kick, wow. Just what a way to punctuate the whole entire segment. So, if you ask me, really well done, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is, again, like Paul said, they've been delivering. Now you get a nice sort of go home segment here for them, and sets that stage for what do we see at SummerSlam? Is it Dolph winning, or is it Dean Ambrose retaining? And of course, we'll talk about that on our Thursday night, Friday morning show where we preview SummerSlam, preview TakeOver Brooklyn, and all that stuff. And make sure you listen to our Monday night, Tuesday morning episode, because we did preview the ROH Death Before Dishonor show there. So if you're a big ROH fan, you want to make sure you listen to that episode. But we go on here to an actual match that Dean Ambrose had with Eric Rowan. This was fine. Again, sort of set up to where Ambrose could look strong, and that's what you got to do, of course.
I kind of liked this match, honestly. Rowan and Ambrose, I think, actually worked pretty well together. Rowan got to show off a good bit here, and he at least didn't look like a total pile of crap, as opposed to just like if this was another squash or anything like that. He got his fair licks in. I think that's good because it seems like, based on the post-match stuff with Wyatt sort of leaving the sheep mask behind on the rocking chair, that they might be going different ways again. And if they're going to do something with Eric, this is at least a good demonstration that he can at least carry himself in the ring by himself.
Yeah, just don't wear the garbage bag.
Right, yeah. We don't need that.
It's a fashion statement that is no longer in fashion. Or was it ever? Here we go.
I think that's the better statement, Kerry.
Yeah,
was it ever?
Or was it ever? Hey, I'm sure at some point in history it was a good look. Maybe in the caveman days.
Yeah, the models. I've seen some models. Sometimes they wear something that looks like a trash bag and they pass it off as fashion. So
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. I look at this as a interesting situation. We figured we'd get a good match to some point, especially being Dean Ambrose, the champion, involved, and I'm very glad to see that we do have Rowan looking like he can handle his own business if they are separating the Wyatt family, and it appears so. Does that concern me? Heck yes, it is. It's a big concern for me because I just don't know if they're going to continue with that. I could see them getting a little lazy with Rowan, and Rowan's going to be wrestling in another promotion in about 7 months. I hope not, but that's what I worry about. And if that probably means Luke Harper is going to be doing something different too if that takes place. So we'll see. But anyway, that's not the focus here. The focus is tonight, and not a bad job in the ring. Both guys did good. And of course, with Bray Wyatt doing the whole walk-off thing, tells another story. Another story I'm interested in. That's SmackDown's doing a really good job. All this stuff so far we're talking about, I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's the good thing too. And again, it's nothing revolutionary, but you're pushing SummerSlam a little bit here. It's not against a guy that's wrestling on SummerSlam, but that's what you don't need to do that. You don't need to make your SummerSlam folks look bad before they get to that show. That's why you have this other talent here, and they're using that very well so far in the things that we've talked about here. So we move on to the things that are kind of ever evolving, because right now they don't have tag team titles. They don't have women's titles. Even though, once again, on Talking Smack, the women talk about it when they have them on. It's talked about on commentary for the women. They talk about it, I think, for the tag team titles as well. For the tag stuff, we kind of get something that was missing a little bit last week because the Usos weren't there. So the tag division looks a little bit stronger there with a more established team in the Usos and the Hype Bros against, the basically what they've been in jobber teams over there on the heel side. The match was good. You get American Alpha winning, and this kind of just keeps spinning wheels until they establish the title.
This is a fun little 7-minute match that sort of lets everybody display what they're about. The Ascension get an actual TV entrance for once, and you get to hear the theme music, and it made me kind of wistful because I love that song. It's so awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And there's still a good package in there somewhere. They just got to find it again. And, there's a lot of good teams here. They just, they got to do what they've been doing. That's keep on building, keep on getting these people characters, keep on getting people invested in it. Like, American Alpha got a huge pop. They got a really good pop coming out, and they've got to look dominant since their debut, and it's easy to love a winner. And I love that they're doing that with these guys.
It also helps to be in sort of a wrestling hotbed in a place where NXT has been at least 2 times now, so they've seen them. Whereas that last week we didn't get that right with them. It was
a lot quieter,
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Gary, what do you think?
You're right on that. And, the one thing I look at this match, and the biggest concern when I first saw this match take place was, oh boy, these multi-man matches can get a little clustery, can get a little monotonous, and I was ready to be bored out of my mind. It was not boring. People, like you guys said, everybody got theirs. Decent match. Got American Alpha, the shine, and that's good. That's very important. I like it. I'm not going to sit here and say it was my favorite part, but I think they did a good job in, continuing this whole thing of, hey, all these tag teams matter. Everybody here has a legitimate shot at being a tag team champion. And I like that. I think that's good. It makes your division look strong. Very impressed with that. But besides that, it is what it is. And right now, American Alpha is leading the way. And they're the young guys. That's the kind of the interesting part.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, sort of all of them were in that range of, I think some of them are older, obviously, but they're all sort of fresh faces. It's the same thing with SmackDown. SmackDown just kind of has everybody that's sort of new or has not been there very long, and it's sometimes it all blends together at times. Uh, but is it a problem for them not to be doing sort of more singles matches with these guys? Is it a issue for you that they're sort of clumping them more together?
Not for me, because once again, I mean, I don't like multi-man matches, but I get why they're doing this, because they only have a 2-hour show, and it's going to be 2 months before they can have all these different matches to showcase each tag team. I really feel like this is the best way to shine some of these guys and really kind of showcase what their abilities are, get them out there in front of people's eyes to say, hey, do you like these guys? Are you interested in them? That way, later on, when you do some of these matches and there are only, 2 tag teams on a SmackDown episode, you're not bummed out because you're like, I wanted to see this other one. You're excited about the tag teams you're getting.
I think this is fine for now. Ultimately, they need to move past this, because right now it's about showing the teams you got. Here's what they can do. American Alpha is the focal point of the story. These are clearly the guys who are, making the case for tag titles and whatever. And then once you get to the part where you establish tag titles, then you got to start making feuds. Then you got to start building these characters up, making them mean something. So when they can challenge, people are into it.
Yeah, and we still don't know what they're going to do as far as how they're going to bring the championship into play. So
Right.
That's what's going to be interesting about this. And it's the same thing with the women. When we get to this here, is that for me, this was the best segment that they've done with the women. The entire time that they've had the brand split on SmackDown. This is supposed to be another debut for Eva Marie. Of course, we didn't get that. She was stuck in traffic this time. Her opponent was Naomi, making her return, and if anybody stood out on this show, Naomi with the black light and the whole outfit and everything, I couldn't stop watching what was happening on screen because it was awesome. It's like one of the, it felt like we were at a party, but it's not like the Adam Rose silly party. It's like, okay, I'm paying attention to this person.
I actually almost changed the channel in accident. Not because I didn't enjoy it. It's because I thought, oh crap, my TV changed to America's Got Talent all of a sudden. And I was like, oh wait, I gotta fix this. What happened? Where's SmackDown? And then I realized, wait a minute, this is SmackDown, and this is a kind of a cool thing, and it's a great entrance. And who is this at first? And very impressed. I'll be honest with you. I think they made a gimmick here that could actually be something, and actually, push Naomi to that next level, possibly with the audience. I think it's a good deal. It's a great entrance, at least. No, I can't, promise you, what she's going to do in the ring. In the past, we've really enjoyed her work in the ring, so that doesn't make me fearful at all. I just want to say, great idea. Whoever came up with this idea for this gimmick for her, I think it works.
According to whatever was going down on Talking Smack after the show, this was apparently an idea Naomi had been wanting to do for a long time, and it fits everything about her. She's a high-energy person in the ring. A rave sort of character fits very well for her. Free merch, of course, because she's throwing out shirts and wristbands and all sorts of cool stuff, and the glow-in-the-dark thing, and she got a huge pop once she started, doing what she does. She's a great dancer, of course. She has a dancing background, and she absolutely knocked this entire thing out of the ballpark. And I didn't even care if that Eva wasn't there. Like, that entrance was amazing. And that's something I really hope they stick with for a long time, and something I think it could bring Naomi a lot of success and allow her to be a great, maybe about, number 2 face, I guess, depending on what happens with Becky going into the future. But certainly a great start for her, no matter where you're looking at her on the spectrum.
Yeah, and then later when they did the tag match, it was important that they had her show up when Eva showed up again, because they were going to do that thing where Eva was going to... This time, actually, Eva cost the heel of the match instead of the face, and Eva acted like, oh, whoops, okay, I don't care. But still, you get Becky getting a win, making Natalya tap out, and I thought it was a good match. Carmella didn't have a lot in there, but they both her and Alexa got to kind of show some things, and again, it sort of makes Naomi look important here. And then we find out that they're going to have a 6-woman tag at SummerSlam. Might as well use up that 2-hour pre-show. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I was down for this too. I think you get a good. I mean, you get Becky and Natty mostly in the tag match. You don't get a lot of Carmella and Alexa, as you said, which kind of sucks because they're the ones you need to work on. They're the ones who kind of need some time to show what they can do. But they're sticking with the solid hands even at this point right now. And you have the whole Eva thing sort of the Eva story wagon circling everything you got going on. So I kind of like what they're doing with the women's division over here on SmackDown. I think it's pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it for the most part. I think they're doing some great things. They're showcasing the young talent already. They're giving you reasons to pay attention to them. Of course, we know Alexa Bliss. We all know Carmella. But, I think if I would have just day one SmackDown, not knowing any of the information I know, I think from this point, at least I would have an idea who they were and actually, start to kind of gain some interest or gain my opinion. I think they're doing a wonderful job on that, and this is a smart way to continue that, getting them involved in a match, even if it is a pre-show on SummerSlam. It's something, right? It's some kind of match that they can get some exposure. So I really like the way they're doing it. The Eva Marie thing, where she's never getting in the ring, it totally makes sense. I mean, it's good booking because she's not exactly the most talented in the ring. Blessed but Brian Kendrick, he did everything he can. But at the same point, they're highlighting other parts of her that, you don't have to be a great wrestler. You can be a heel and people can hate you and not be in the ring physically, actually wrestling. So I think it's good. I think it's a smart move on their part with her as well. So I like what they're doing with each character in this division. To me, it's really intelligent. I feel like it's something that, we haven't got in a while, especially since this whole brand split happened. We were kind of concerned about what was going to happen. I think that this is my favorite division when it comes to the women.
Wow, that's interesting to say, considering they try to hype Raw as the one you want to see with the sort of, I guess, bigger names. The only other sort of big story going through here was the John Cena AJ Styles being propped up a bit here with, we finally get the match that's been 10 months in the making, guys, with John Cena and Alberto Del Rio, the vengeance match for Cena after he lost the U.S. title at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. God, I can't believe it. We're almost talking about, it's almost a year since that Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Jeez, how time flies. But we get AJ giving Del Rio a pep talk, and Del Rio's like, dude, man, I've beaten up John Cena forever. What are you talking about, man? And he's like, well, Del Rio, at least I'm on the card at SummerSlam, and you're not. Ouch.
Savage.
Wow. Nasty. Nasty, that AJ. And we get John Cena Del Rio. It was a good main event. I didn't think it was anything, special or whatever, but it makes Cena look strong, and AJ's out there on commentary, and then Cena puts AJ through the table to sort of end SmackDown, put a statement on it. Does this make you feel that all the stuff Cena got here at the end, AJ's got a chance? Or
I still think AJ's going over clean as a whistle at SummerSlam. And you have Cena take a break or whatever after that to sort of recover from the loss and everything and work that in while AJ continues his ride of success towards winning the WWE World Heavyweight title. But this match here was fine. I thought it was a little lackadaisical at times. So it wasn't anything great or eye-popping. But the stuff with AJ at the end, I really liked. It's AJ on commentary was great too, and David Otunga looked like an idiot, but AJ more than happy putting him in his place.
Otunga, I still don't know what to think about him, honestly. I feel bad, but I just not really thrilling for me. But the most important thing was going on in the ring, and a solid main event here. Got two guys that can work. Cena and of course Del Rio, both guys that have had a lot of experience main event. But going to the end here, which is very interesting. John Cena, of course, putting AJ through the table and the whole banter that AJ has with John Cena after doing the the flying phenomenal elbow, whatever they call that.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Phenomenal forearm.
Yeah.
Phenomenal forearm. I still hate the
Close.
finisher. I'm sorry.
You're close.
I wish it had a better finisher. Anyway, so with all that said, I thought it was very interesting, very important to put into perspective of this is going to be the end of the show. AJ's going to stand tall. That wasn't the truth. That we had more time. John Cena is the guy that walks away. So makes you really question your predictions for SummerSlam and things like that in your mind coming out of this. But I could definitely see where Paul's coming from here. It's a good thought process.
Yeah, certainly. This is I thought it was a really good way to end it, and a great statement to sort of carry you into. Okay, that's it. This is the last time we're going to see till SummerSlam. Let's see what we get. And just to kind of have some little small things to happen to wrap it up here, we get some Chuck Norris, except they're Kurt Hawkins facts for Kurt Hawkins coming in SmackDown. We get Baron Corbin just rubbing Kalisto's face into look like a garage door, just really like bully. Look like we're in high school, just need to be putting him in a locker kind of thing, which I think works for Baron Corbin. And I think I had one more thing that we didn't sort of. Oh, why are you having something for a feud happen during the break? Apollo Crews powerbombs The Miz during the break. What? Why are we having things during the break? That doesn't make. It's not like when they used to have that thing where you could flip onto your phone and you're watching something. If you have that, that's fine. We're not doing that. I mean, I don't get it.
That was a head scratcher and a half, and this entire feud's really been a head scratcher and a half because Apollo Crews has won the opportunity and has really only come out and just sort of smiled and hit the move here on Miz, and we haven't had any character growth for him at all other than dude. So that's a missed opportunity in and of itself. And Baron Corbin, Kalisto's whatever at this point. It's sort of a background thing. At least that's how they're treating it. So I don't have a lot of interest in it, but could be fun if they ever decide to do something with it. And yeah.
At least they're doing something with Corbin as far as like character-wise, showing him being mean and stuff like that. Unlike Crews, who's doing nothing.
Yeah, I just, in my personal opinion, I hope that, when Corbin does face off against Kalisto, he does take his lunch money. I'd love to see that,
lunch money on a pole match.
Yeah, see? Hey, smart. I love it. Good booking, Paul. Let's do this. Yeah, so, although this guy's pretty tall, he may just be able to reach up in the pole and grab it without even having to try. But,
what bullies do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's got to make it look smooth, man.
Yeah.
It takes me back to that Punky Brewster episode. But anyway, so, let's talk about the fact that, you guys mentioned it, Apollo Crews. The feud's over. The Miz calling him Creed. Okay. Yes, I get it. Apollo Crews is the number one contender. But it seems like they're trying to pinpoint that this feud is revolving around The Miz saying he is Creed. I wouldn't be upset if someone called me Apollo Creed. I'd be very thrilled. I'd be like, heck yeah, I'm a good fighter. Don't mess with me. I'm not going to get mad. But anyway, it is what it is.
I know some other people might be upset if you're calling yourself Apollo Creed, but maybe that's just me looking at it. I don't know.
Well, I guess if you look at me, I guess you could be offended. But I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
But hey, you're a big Chuck Norris fan, Gary, so you must enjoy these Kurt Hawkins facts.
Oh, definitely. It's hokey, it's corny, but man, if anything that it at least resembles Chuck Norris, I'm all game. So,
Kurt Hawkins better be, doing some roundhouses or something.
Oh, yes.
Gotta do
I
something.
hope his theme song. Yeah, exactly. I hope his theme song is like the Walker Texas Ranger theme, right?
I knew it. I knew Gary was going to say that.
The eyes of the wrestler are always. I don't know. I could come up
Oh,
with a theme
God.
song later. That's just so beautiful.
Well, we got to give this show a rating here.
A few shutter steps here and there, but overall, everything you got over 2 hours was really good. 7.
That's where I'm going, 7. It's just a good show. Nothing offensive. Did a lot more to build for SummerSlam than Raw did.
Mm-hmm.
Not the terrible putrid 3 hours we got yesterday. What do you think, Gary?
Let's go for the hat trick. I'll go 7 as well. I agree with both of you guys on that. I think it's a fair choice. Nothing spectacular, but a above average rating for me.
Well, there you go. We enjoyed this SmackDown. So SmackDown better than Raw for this week. We'll have to see what the ratings say when SmackDown's ratings come out. I haven't actually seen what Raw's was or not yet, but we are going to give you a little bit of bonus since all three of us are here together. So it's one less thing we got to talk about on Thursday because we got a packed show on Thursday. The WWE 24 Women's Wrestling special that they did on the network. I thought it was really good. I mean, it's nothing like we didn't sort of already know, but it was nice just to have it all there in one package, and have everybody getting to talk that was a part of that in one way or another.
I wish it was longer, honestly, because they gloss over what I think is a much more important middle period and very briefly touch on the hashtag of Give Divas a Chance and all the stuff that sort of happens in between the peak period of Trish and Lita and Victoria and Jazz and all those cats. So they give a good bit of time to, and they gloss over that middle where you have this weird middle ground between going back and forth between what you had in the Attitude Era and what you had growing towards what we have now with Beth Phoenix and Melina, and then on the other, I mean, they showed a lot of pictures, but there wasn't a lot of talk about it,
Mm.
And then you get into everything that happened. And one other thing, there was a lot of talk and a lot of showing of Bayley on this, and sort of how she's different from the model, how she's their first step towards straying away from that perfect supermodel look towards almost an everyday person look. And I think that was a really cool thing, and it makes me hopeful for when they do bring Bayley up that they're going to do right by her.
Yeah, I am with you on that, and I am very curious. Kind of in a way, you kind of think, well, is that something offensive to Bayley? But no, it's not. It's just a different look, different gimmick. It all works for a reason for her, and that's not being a part of that whole model thing. So I think it's cool. I'm with Paul on this now. Is this? I thought this was going to be a series. Is this not a series, or is this just a one-time
It's
thing?
just their WWE 24. They pick a subject, they do it, and then they go on to the next one.
Yeah. Next thing, see, and that's the big problem with this. Paul, you're totally right on that. There's so much invested when it comes to this whole build. There's so many things that you really could embellish. I get it. You got to have this for 24. But they really need to do a series. They really do. You could do, I dare say, a 12-part, 1-hour episode series to highlight this growth, the build, the different faces that were a part of this division over time. I know they couldn't say anything about AJ. I get that. AJ Lee was not going to be someone they're going to highlight because of what happened. But
it's really weird too, Gary. Like they didn't even have, and they've had Candice Michelle, they've had Michelle Cool, and they've had Molly Holly on the table for 3. You all couldn't have them talking about the little period there. They kind of flesh that out a little bit more. Maybe perhaps they have something down the line where they're going to do a whole DVD for this, and so they flesh it out a little bit more, and they understand that the documentary is sort of important. Whereas it could also be that they do one, and it's just like what happened with the Shield DVD, where the documentary was basically that WWE 24 special. They'd already done on them, except for a couple of more things or whatever. But yeah.
I mean, I agree. They could do that. I just
I
feel
mean,
like a
you go
series.
ahead.
I'm just saying. I think a series matters because you can break down those little facts. That you can really get in depth. You can have conversations with certain people, not focus on just 5 or 6, and have them tell the story for the 25 that were important to this division. So I think I think they did a great job. Don't get me wrong; it was very well done, especially for the time that they had. Very well done. You just want more, and I guess that's a good thing. I guess walking away wanting more is not bad.
I also thought that they should have covered, but this is WWE. They love to gloss over things. They should have covered the failed first Divas Revolution to sort of point out that this is what we did wrong, and we learned from that. And we figured out, okay, this is how we went ahead and did it right. You know, they should have had a little part where they talked about that, why that failed, why that didn't work so well, that kind of thing. That would have sort of been interesting to hear from everybody that was sort of part of that, because they were already had them talking. So, I mean, I would have liked to hear what they thought about the whole having the tag the little factions, and if they liked it or not. You know,
A little surprised they didn't kiss up more to Stephanie McMahon than they did. They did quite a bit of it, but I was surprised they didn't do more of it.
I'm glad they didn't, that they realized that you know, hey, at least she didn't make herself the whole point of this, so
Yeah.
that's a plus, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the little part. I mean, she definitely is worth some time to cover, though. I mean, obviously she's a very interesting figure in the entire scope of everything. Maybe, I mean, obviously, yeah, great you didn't dedicate the whole episode to her, but the little segment they had in there with about her and how she sort of works for the WWE both on screen and off screen and everything she's sort of done, and like, I mean, she's been on TV 20 years. That's incredible. I think that's absolutely incredible. That's almost as long as
She deserves her own DVD.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, she's got her book coming out, and it's going to be very entertaining and interesting. And it's going to be a great read. I'm not hating on Stephanie at all. I'm just a little surprised that they didn't put more in there, because sometimes, let's be honest, egos kind of get a little crazy, and they want to showcase somebody. And what I mean by this is I'm surprised they didn't follow around the office and show her sitting and talking to people in the office and things like that, her coaching up people, things like I think that they did a good job of it, because they did not do all those things.
Mhm.
I was happy to see Finley in there too, because
so awesome.
he was the guy that was there during that middle period too, that was teaching them and whatever, and he brought that up, that's when they were sort of telling, he was teaching them how to wrestle like just like men, and people didn't like it, but they learned that maybe that's what you need to do. And so I thought they could have, they spent a nice chunk on NXT, I think, but they could have done, I think, more with that. And maybe had a few of the ones that are there now, along with the ones that just came up, sort of talk about their little time there and what they can bring. Nia Jax was somebody they could have really kind of highlighted there too, because of her being different than what they've had. And just saying, okay, look, we talked about Bayley not being the model. Well, here's another person that it's not the model either, But I mean, overall, I think it gives you a good snippet of what they had gone through from one to the other. They glossed over things, but I think it's going to happen when you're trying to fit it all in 1 hour or however long that was. I didn't pay attention to the length or whatnot, but
I think it's about 45 minutes or so. I think maybe a little less. But yeah, I mean, it was good. Like I said, I do wish there was more. There's a lot to talk about here, and even outside the WWE, even like this whole women's revolution as far as wrestling, from not only here but from indies to overseas to everything. I think it's an interesting story. Something that's probably worth looking at in depth at some point.
Yeah, and this is the right time period to do something like this. I kind of fear to think even what they would have done if this would have been the Attitude Era, and they wanted it to, they had a network and they were going to showcase things like this, because the whole show would have been about who slept with who. So this is a great thing that we get now, where a lot more respect to the women's division, a lot more respect to everybody, and not just a certain group. No, I'm thrilled about that, and I think they did a good job showcasing this division.
Yeah. Um, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was, so we were all kind of in agreement that it was a good 24. And, with that women's classic that they might have at some point, I think that's where you can sort of tell that story too, of where the women have come that way. So there's room left, but like Gary said too, so much of the stuff they could turn into a series if they want to. It's just, do they want to spend the time to actually do it? But every time they have one of these documentary things, it has shown on the network that people watch it. So hopefully they have this kind of thing down in the pipeline. Oh, and I forgot to personally, somebody's reminding me that speaking of documentaries, I forgot to record the CM Punk one. I'll have to go find that somewhere.
Oh man, I did
that
too.
Was
They did the repeat. They did the repeat tonight, and I forgot to record the repeat, so I will as well have to go find that and check it out. I am interested in that.
But all right, guys, I think we discussed everything here. So, like I said, be sure to check out the show we did on the Tuesday morning slot where we talked about ROH and their pay-per-view and the Billy Corgan being the president of TNA and the new title they're going to have and everything. And now on the Thursday show, we'll be previewing SummerSlam, previewing TakeOver Brooklyn, talking about the TNA. I think NXT is one of those preview specials, so we won't discuss that, but we will discuss the next week of CWC, so we have that as well. And then, starts our weekend of so much wrestling going on that we'll be having lots of shows. So be on the lookout for ROH, Death Before Dishonor podcast, TakeOver podcast, SummerSlam podcast, and Super Jacob podcast as well. And on Thursday, because he's such a freaking NXT fan, we're going to have Chet Yoder with us to preview the NXT and SummerSlam, and he's also going to be on the NXT review too. So, yeah. Cool. Go. All right, well, until we see you guys again, check out all those things on the WTM Network, whether it's stuff we bring you, whether it's the football podcasts, whether it's video games. There's stuff out there for you to listen to. Just subscribe to that on any iTunes, Stitcher, wherever. We have a SoundCloud, we have YouTube you can listen to everything on. And, just hopefully we can keep adding things. And, you can, of course, also, you can reach out to us on those various platforms on Twitter, at WTM Sean, at WTM Gary, at Hail to the Chimp 7. At WTM Network, too, has its own Twitter. And let us know if you think that there's some podcast out there that doesn't have a home, and you think that they can offer something great for us. Hey, we'll give it a shot, But all right, until Thursday, Gary, lead us out here.
If you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.